Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA Renaissance man Joey Varner. Joey, how are you?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good. Joey, I want to talk a little bit about some hot MMA topics. I also want to talk about some upcoming fights that are going on. But first, you're the matchmaker for Superior Cage Combat. What's the current state of that organization? Are you guys still around, still in business?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we actually just had a great meeting. Right now we're working on as with everyone else, every other show in mixed martial arts, our main goal is to secure a television deal. So we're working hard domestically to get that, and as well internationally. We're working with a few countries in South America and Asia as well. So things are definitely progressing. We got a lot of exciting things, big announcements coming up, and I think everyone's going to be very happy with what they see in the future from Spirit Cage Combat. So we've got 5 shows in the library. They're solid shows, and we're trying to use those to secure the deal right now. And it looks great. We've got an excellent product, great fights, and there's a lot of opportunities, both internationally and domestic, for television deals. So we're moving forward with it.
Mm-hmm. Is the plan for the show to move outside of Vegas, do some shows, across the country, or are you guys going to still stay in Vegas, just have a TV deal?
You know what? I mean, traveling is always on the horizon, but we stay true to our roots. Las Vegas is the mecca of mixed martial arts, and we like being based in the mecca. We've got so many different fighters, local fighters here, local fight gyms, so many people traveling internationally coming here for mixed martial arts. So it makes sense for us to, keep doing business here. So for the time being, we're still going to be throwing shows here, but we'll always keep our eye to other locations.
Mm-hmm. And now, the fighter roster that you guys have, how many fighters do you exactly have under contract with you? Because, it's been a while since you've done a show, about a year ago. How many fighters exactly do you have under contract?
You know what? We're only doing one-fight deals. Mm-hmm. We're not looking to lock in a bunch of talent, long-term talent right now. There's such a large, there's more fighters out there than there are fight promotions. Mm-hmm. That's how it's always been, and so for the time being, it makes most sense for us and for the fighters to get them on a one-fight deal, bring them in, and if we like them, we bring them back to the next one. But, we also want to give the fighters the flexibility to have the opportunity to fight for other shows, if they get picked up by a bigger organization, to go forward and pursue that. We're not really in the mind state of kind of locking someone in and preventing them from growth, especially up and coming mixed martial arts. And that's what our show is really about, getting up-and-coming guys and guys who have been to the top and are trying to make that resurgence. And when people are doing that, they're trying to get fights, they're trying to build their name, or they've been to the top and they fell from grace, now they're trying to climb again. The worst thing that happens to them, if they're not with the big show, is to get locked in where they're waiting for their next fight. You sign a contract with a small organization that's not UFC or even Bellator, and you might only get 2 fights a year. That's not enough for someone up-and-coming guy to make a living off of, and they want to stay busy. When you're coming up and you're getting at it, you want to be fighting every few months. So a lot of times for smaller shows, these fight contracts can be prohibitive.
Mm-hmm. That's what I really liked about your guys' show, is a majority of the time you would pit an up-and-comer against an established veteran, and if the up-and-comer guy can beat the veteran guy, then, he's kind of arrived, and if the veteran guy can beat the up-and-coming guy, then, he lives to fight another day and, could, eventually keep building himself up to get back to the big show. So I'm glad to hear that, that's going to continue to be your model.
Yeah, absolutely. We love it, man. You got the studs that were and the studs that want to be, mm-hmm. and put them up, and we'll see who takes that next step to the next level.
Mm-hmm. And now for your champions, Bristol Marunde, he's your middleweight champion, and John Gunderson, he's your lightweight champion. Are you going to expect to have those guys back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I see Bristol and John a lot. Both I train with those guys, and I'm friends with them, so I see them around, and we're in constant communication. And John, there's a couple fights John really wants, and Bristol as well, and we'd love to make those happen when we do our next show.
Mm-hmm. What's the timetable for return? Is it going to be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months? What exactly are you looking at for the next show?
6 to 8 months. Mm-hmm. We've got we just signed, just now got over some contracts from an international company. We've got a couple more that we just sent out as well. So as the pieces fall into place, we'll really be able to paint the picture a little clearer. But it's I think 6 to 8 months is a good timetable. And then, once all these different elements come into play and they're secured and locked in, then we'll be able to, start continuously, doing shows, one every 3 months or so. So I think a good timetable is 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm. Now, Joey, you've done pretty much everything you can possibly think of in this industry. You've fought, trained guys. You've been in the broadcasting side of things. You've been a front office guy. What's your favorite part?
Oh man, you know what? It's so hard to say. I mean, I love mixed martial arts. And I watched it in 1993 in my buddy's basement in Vallejo, California. I watched the first UFC, and I said that's what I want to do with my life. Of course, I wanted to compete and make it to the UFC. That's my dream. That's my goal. But just to be a part of something you love in every capacity is a blessing, and it's a great experience. My favorite part, of course, is it's training, competing. Just doing the sport. I love being on the mat. I love striking. I love being in the gym. And unfortunately, injuries and your body's falling apart. You can't do it as much as you like. But to be able to still be a part of the sport outside of the gym is awesome. It's a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Is that why you stopped fighting injuries?
Yeah, I dislocated my shoulder 8 times. Had
Whoa.
2 reconstructive surgeries on it, and I just kept on re-injuring it. So it was like I came to the point where my orthopedic surgeon said, "Hey, this ain't gonna happen." So I still want to compete again. I still really want to make a run at it. I've been doing the last few years. I've really just been focusing on strength and conditioning. Injury prevention, and really building my body back up, getting strong. And I never did that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I show up to the gym and I didn't want to lift, I didn't want to run, I didn't want to stretch. I just wanted to get it on. Like, let's start wrestling, let's start throwing punches, let's start rolling. I didn't really care, and that I think that goes with the ignorance that is youth.
Mm-hmm.
And that style really takes a toll on your body. And that style was constantly getting injured. That's just my shoulder. I tore my ACL, tore both meniscuses. Broke my ribs, cracked my sternum, broke my jaw. I was injured a lot, but I think it was because of how I was training. I was just beating myself up, and I wasn't taking care of my body. So now, I became a student of strength and conditioning, and I'm swimming, I'm lifting, I'm running, I'm doing yoga. I'm really taking care of my body. It's gonna be with me for life, so I need to make sure it lasts. And then I'm also, throughout this whole time, I stayed training. And really, the last 3-4 years, I just became a student of the art of wrestling. I put a couple years training one-on-one with Johnny Hendricks, trained a lot one-on-one wrestling with Gray Maynard, with Jay Haran, with Frank Trigg, with Brian Keck. He's a big-time coach, Olympic level wrestler, and I really just became a student of that art. So we'll see what the future holds. I'm hoping to hit some jiu-jitsu tournaments this year, and if the body holds up, and I have the time to do it, I'll just keep taking small steps forward, and maybe one day make it back in the cage just to see how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Joey, could you give me a breakdown of what you do day to day? Because you are a very busy guy, so could you kind of, give me a day in the life of you?
Yeah, man. I'm up with the sun. Up at 5:45, 5:30 every morning. First thing I do is the first thing I actually do is drink a protein shake and do my meditation. I'm big into meditation. I dig it. Just the mental and physical benefits. I kind of got into it because I was reading about samurais doing it, to train for battle. And then as I got into it more and more, I started reading all this, scientific studies done on it and about the neurology behind it and what it actually does to your brain and your body. And it's pretty cool, man. There's a lot of benefits. I really think everyone in the world should do it first thing. Practice it, because no matter what you're doing, business, sports, relationships, it just makes you better at it. It makes the machine run better. So first thing is meditate, and then I go hit the gym. I do my strength and conditioning, and then I train a few people. And then from there, I go to the SEC office, and I'm working, all day long on TV deals. And then a couple nights of the week, I do a Fox Sports radio show here in Vegas, or I come back and train people. So, I'm a 10, 12-hour guy, 10, 12-hour day guy, 5, 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm. So you truly do eat, breathe, sleep MMA.
That's my life, man. I used to do finance full time, and I hated it. The money was great. I made a ton of money. I made so much money that just helped me make bad decisions, but I hated it. It wasn't my passion. And I had this kind of come to Jesus moment, you're gonna do it, or you're gonna live a life of woulda, shoulda, coulda. You're gonna look back at the age of 50 and say, yeah, man, I did it. I went for it. It was awesome. Or, oh man, I wish I would have. Or damn, I should have. And so I literally woke up, in the middle of the night and typed up a resignation letter, gave it to my boss the next morning, went to my house in Colorado, and moved to Vegas. And I said, if I want to fight, I want to compete, I want TV stuff, I want to do radio, but if I got to do any office stuff or any business stuff, I want it to be around mixed martial arts. I want my life just to be my life, professionally, for fun, as hobbies, everything. I want it to be around mixed martial arts, and so that's what it is. And I mean, man, I've fought professionally. I've cornered, and coached some of the best fighters in the world. I cornered Gray Maynard in a world title fight. I cornered Mark Hominick in a world title fight. I was a coach for the ISL and the Anacondas under Sean Tompkins. I've coached Randy Couture, Jay Haran. The list goes on and on. And then behind the scenes, I used to work for the International Fight League. The first couple of shows, the IFL, I did the post-fight interviews, and then I handled the marketing and the operations for them, and then and now I'm the operations manager and the matchmaker for Spirit Cage Combat, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man, I mean, if it's MMA, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. When you decided to move from Colorado to Vegas, what was the specific reason for going to Las Vegas? Was it to train with somebody down there, or was it just it's the fight capital of the world and that's where everything's at?
That was it, man. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get into TV, of course. That was always one of my goals, and I wanted to compete in mixed martial arts. So I kind of looked at it like either LA or Vegas, and I always thought that my avenue to television and media would be through mixed martial arts. And so because of that, I said, then Vegas is definitely the place to be. It was right after the first season of The Ultimate Fighter. Randy had moved there. There was just a bunch of people migrating there. And so I just said, hey, let's roll the dice, man. I didn't know anybody. I just packed up here, moved, and grew from there.
Mm-hmm. Now, right now, when you're training guys, are you basically at a bunch of different gyms, or do you have one gym where you do all your work?
You know what? I do a lot of my work at Couture's. I've been in my home gym. I've been with Randy since he got out here. He's an awesome guy. His family. He takes care of all of us. I also go to Drysdale's a lot. And then at my house, I set up my garage as a gym. I matted my whole garage. I've got speed bags, tie bags, weights, double end bags, exercise bikes, pull-up bar. I mean, I've got everything that gym, posters and frames and everything. You walk in, it looks like a gym. So I run a lot of private lessons out of there as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't really know if there's anything else that you could do in MMA. You've pretty much done, all there is to do. But is there anything else out there that you haven't done that you want to do?
Absolutely, man. The main goal, the dream of it all, and that's where I'm kind of taking baby steps towards, and that's really why I've been doing the strength and conditioning and the wrestling, and is my dream, my goal, the whole thing that I always wanted to do, from '93 was compete in the UFC. Mm-hmm. That was it, man. I want to be a world champion. I want to be the best. I just want to make it. I want to compete. I want to get there. I saw that stuff in '93. I watched the first one. I said, man, I want to do that so bad. And I watched every single UFC. I haven't missed one, brother. I'm talking even during the dark days. Remember when it was off pay-per-view and the only way you could get it was a satellite?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I was a paper boy, and in my neighborhood, I would go door to door to every house that had satellites, and I'd ask them, "Hey, Johnson, how you doing today?" She'd be like, "Are you here to collect the money?" And I'm like, "No, I saw you have a satellite dish. Is there any way I could pay you?" I went door to door. I did not miss it, man, and that's been my goal. That's been my dream. That's been the whole thing that just the one thing that I want to have on my resume that I
Now, Joey, changing gears a little bit, I want to talk about some hot topics in MMA right now. First, let's start with The Ultimate Fighter. Have you been watching any of that?
Oh yeah, man! I'm a big fan. I love this, especially this season. I love what they've done, and I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think this season Uriah Hall is a beast. I worked a lot with when the Ultimate Fighter comes to town. I hold the tie pads here for their auditions, and then I work with the production company. Like they'll when they wanted to see how there's a new look this season, the new camera look is a different lens.
Definitely.
When they wanted to test that, they called me and asked me to bring a bunch of fighters to the gym and go to the house, and hey, yes, they can test it out. So I work a bunch with the crew and with the production, and I was at the fights to get in the house, and I saw that kid Uriah Hill, and he didn't finish his opponent, but if you were there watching, you could just see, man, like the way he flowed, how light he was on his toes, he put his punches, and the way he threw his punches with precision, accuracy, and just speed and bad intention on every shot, and the fluidity of him throwing the spinning kicks. Like he wasn't landing them, but I mean it was so smooth, so fluid, and I told my buddies that I said, "Watch, this kid's gonna be a beast, man," and he certainly is living up to that.
Yeah, this season there's just so much talent out there. It's awesome to see that, because a lot of people have complained, oh well, the show's gotten stale because the talent isn't as good, but that's just all out the window. This season's awesome.
Yeah, it's stacked season talent-wise, and just the look, the feel is different. There's less of that. One thing I wasn't a big fan of is I call it the douchebaggery. The shenanigans in the house where you got a clown getting drunk, throwing bottles, let me go. I hated all that crap, and it seems like this season they're getting away from that. They're really trying to tell the stories of the competitors and what it takes to compete, and I love that. There's such great characters, and they work so hard, and I feel like sometimes it's diminished by showing that other side of the idiots.
You mentioned Uriah Hall as someone who caught your eye. Is there anyone else from the season, particular, that you got your eye on and you think could be a real force?
Out of the fights watching live, she was the one that stood out to me the most. I'm interested to see the Tor. I think his name is Tor. I'm really interested to see him because I watched his highlight films and he looks dangerous. He looks aggressive. The other one was what's his name? He's a light-skinned gentleman with the cornrows. I think he was Jones' first pick.
Oh, Clint Hester.
Really solid. What's up?
Clint Hester.
Yes. He was really solid. I really liked watching him fight. He was actually like the two guys that impressed me the most that day were Uriah Hall and him. So I'm really excited to see him compete as well.
And now, Joey, I got to ask you, as someone who fought professionally, would you ever consider doing The Ultimate Fighter? I mean, probably not now, but when you were coming up, would you ever have wanted to go on that show?
When you're coming up, and it's still, I still ask myself, it's like, it seems like the coolest thing in the world, it seems like the greatest opportunity. But so many of my friends, my good personal friends, the guys I hang out with every day, have done the show. And I mean, Kendall Grove, Joe Daddy, Gray Maynard, Mac Danzig. I mean, the list goes on and on of buddies that have done the show. And after speaking with them about the experience, there's no way on earth I would want to go on there. It sounds like the most stressful, anxiety-filled, it's tough. Like, you don't get to see that on TV, but when you talk to the guys one-on-one about the show, like, it is a hard experience, man. It's like being in prison. At least in prison, you get TV and you get music and you can read. Like, you realize, man, when you're there, and this sounds easy when you're listening to it, but to be in this moment, you can't read books, you can't listen to music, you can't watch TV, and you got a camera in your face all day. And I don't know if you've been around someone when you're hanging out and someone pulls out a camera and starts filming. For some reason, the majority of people, when someone pulls out a camera, they turn into idiots. It's like they feel like they have to try to show off and perform, and it's like, to be in a situation where you've got everyone trying to, get the attention of the camera, and you're locked in the house, you've got no release, no nothing to kind of take your mind away from it. No TV, no music, no books. It's just you and everyone acts like a fool, man. That's a rough situation. That's tough. It takes a toll on you.
Mm-hmm. Right now, Bellator, they're marketing their organization as the toughest tournament in sports. What's tougher, Bellator or the Ultimate Fighter?
The Ultimate Fighter, hands down.
Sure.
Well, I mean, the Ultimate Fighter, because look, you're locked in the house and you're going to fight once every 2.5, 3 weeks,
mm-hmm.
and you don't have your family around. You don't have your teammate, your people that you're working with. So the Ultimate Fighter, in that sense, is way harder. It's way harder, on your training side, because you don't have your teammates, you don't have your routine, you don't have everything you're used to. It's way harder psychologically. There is no support of your family. There is no music. There is no radio. It's just you're out of your element. You're somewhere else. But make no mistake about it. Bellator is tough. I cornered Jay Ron for a couple fights when he was in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I was with him for the Rick Cohen fight, and I was in his training camp throughout that whole thing. And he was beat up. You're beat up. You're not recovered in between fights. You finish a fight and there's no time off. You're back in the gym getting ready for the next fight, and so that's tough on your body, man. But at least with Bellator. At least their tournament, not the reality show. At least the tournament, you're at home. You're with your teammates. You're with your camp. You're with your girl, your wife, your kids, your brothers. You go to the restaurants you like, the grocery stores you like. You got your iPod. You put the playlist together. You have your routine. When you're on the Ultimate Fighter, brother, you lose all of that. You're on your own. There's, it's like being in prison, man. Except without TV.
And now, Bellator, we brought them up a little. Are you a fan of this tournament format, or would you prefer to see, some single fights? What exactly do you think of Bellator and the way their organization is run?
I'm a fan of Bellator. I'm a fan of all mixed martial arts. If it's MMA, I want to watch it.
Sure.
And I dig the tournament aspect. I think that's really cool. I think, though, they need to improve on the business model a little bit, just with the inactivity of the champions. And it's so, it's such a weird situation because you can't, I think it's retarded to do a non-title championship fight. For instance, what was it, Chandler fought Goto, was it?
Yeah.
So what happens in these situations if your champion loses?
Well, it happened. It happened. Travis.
Was it Joe?
No, it was Travis Few. He beat Christian Pumbu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But look at that. It just devalues your champion completely. It's like when you're the champion, you're supposed to be the top of the mountain, the best there is. And when you get knocked off that mountain, that other man is supposed to take the mantle. He's supposed to, be the man on top now, the stud, the king of the jungle. And so when the champion who just lost a fight goes to the next tournament fight with his belt to defend his title, it's kind of a crock of crap because he's not the champ anymore. He just lost.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, there was no belt on the line, but the champ fought, the champ lost. The guy that beat him should be the champ. So I really think there's some kinks in the system that need to be worked out. Find a solution to that. I don't know if it's congruent tournaments, and what I mean is like there's a 170 tournament right now, right?
Right.
It takes 12 weeks. I think maybe right when that finishes, they start immediately another 170 tournament. So the champion is going to be, every 4 months there's going to be a new tournament winner. So the champion, is always defending his title 3-4 times a year against contenders. I don't know how to do it, but there's something that needs to be done, because the inactivity kills the champion, it kills his ability to make a living, and the non-title fights are stupid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, we all know that the UFC is the biggest MMA organization in the world. We all know that they're light years ahead of everybody. But do you feel that Bellator is a competitor of theirs?
No, I haven't been a competitor, not at all. I think they're definitely on the horizon. They're a top show, but it's UFC cemented their position. You know what I'm saying? They're the top dogs. You look at, I think Bellator is a great Tuesday night fight kind of thing. Thursday, remember on USA Boxing back in the day they had Tuesday night fights, and now ESPN2 has Friday night fights, and I think what's the Sunday night fights. This is boxing. I think Bellator is consistent with that kind of business model. You know, it's like in the world of boxing, if you look at it, you've got your weekly fight series, Tuesday night fights, Friday night fights, Sunday night fights. Then you got your HBO specials, Boxing After Dark, Showbox, you know, and then you got your pay-per-views, you know, extravaganzas or supercars. Well, the UFC is they're along the lines of that pay-per-view extravaganza, and then, you know, their televised stuff is more on par with HBO's production level and Boxing After Dark. Bellator is right along the production, the quality of fighters, the level of fighters. They're really on that weekly fight series now. And I just don't see them ever really being a threat to the UFC. And if you look, you know, the Bellator comes out, and their first show they do, you know, like 1.3 million, which is huge. And after that, they've kind of dropped down to 900,000, 800,000, right? Which for them is a resounding success. But for the Ultimate Fighter, those same numbers are considered a failure. You know, when the show just breaks 1 million and it doesn't hit 1.2 million viewers, you know, they talk about how the ratings aren't good. And that's just to show you a comparison where it's like, okay, this is a reality show, this is a fight series, and when Bellator does their best numbers, they're not even close to the worst numbers of the reality show. So I feel like Bellator, they've got a great product, you know, and they'll be around for a while because of their distribution and their platform and the backing of Viacom. But, you know, they're always going to be Reebok to Nike. You know what I'm saying? Reebok's cool, you know, the Pulp was cool for a while, but every kid wants Nike. They want Air Jordan. They don't want Reeboks. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Strikeforce, they just shut their doors. A lot of the guys have come over from Strikeforce. Guys like Tyron Woodley, Bobby Green, Isaac Valley Flag, they all made their UFC debuts back in UFC 156 Super Bowl weekend. Of those guys that are coming over from Strikeforce that haven't already made their debuts, who are you most interested in watching?
Oh, definitely Game Bread, George Masvidal. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's been one of my favorite fighters for a long time. Damn it, I just went the wrong way. I think he's got the sharp boxing. I love his boxing. You know, I think he's pissed. I think he didn't show up to fight against Gilbert Melendez. You know, I think he's one of the most promising fighters out there when he comes in, when he's on his game. Also, Gilbert Melendez. I'm excited to see what he does in the UFC because there's been a lot of talk about him in being one of the best 50 fighters, not the best in the world. But the level of competition he faced hasn't been on par with what exists in the UFC. So it's going to be exciting to see how he does against Ben Henderson and what he does in the UFC. But the biggest one I'm most excited for, this is my favorite fighter right now, man. I just love this dude. I love hearing him talk. I love seeing him grow, how he evolves as a fighter, is Daniel Cormier. I'm so excited about that. I love the way he's taken to the striking game like a duck for water, man. He's smooth, he flows, he runs. You know, for a guy who's done it for a couple of years, I mean, he looks seasoned. You know, he helped box and helped struck Josh Barnett. And Josh Barnett's guy was, you know, one of the best strikers in there for a long time. You know, him and Hizzo. I mean, he went to war with Hizzo. He got caught, but I mean, he was giving Hizzo fits. And Hizzo was an amazing kickboxer, and DC comes out and outstrikes Barnett. So I mean, you know, the way DC's evolved, his boxing game, the way he flows with his wrestling. I just think the sky's the limit for this guy.
Now, there's a lot of talk about all these super fights. There's Anderson Silva versus GSP. There's John Jones versus Anderson Silva. There's all this talk about which one of these fights is going to happen. First, which is the one that you want to see? And second, which is the one that you actually think will happen?
The one I want to see the most is St. Pierre versus Anderson Silva. And there's a couple reasons. Because, first of all, you know, I know a lot of people want to see John Jones versus Anderson first, and I dig that. I want to see it at some point, but GSP, John Jones is new. You know, he's doing some work right now, but he's still new. He doesn't have a legacy yet, you know. GSP and Anderson, they've been the two most dominant force at their weight class for you know, over 5 years, you know. I mean, for 6-7 years, these guys have been running the show. They've been the top dogs, you know. They really cleared out the weight class twice over. I mean, and I I want to see what happens. And more than that, I really want to see it because at 178, and I'm the only person in the world who said this, but I stand by it, and I think that George St. Pierre can beat Anderson Silva. I think that his wrestling and his movement is enough to nullify the game and shut down the game of Anderson Silva. And all my friends, every other analyst, everyone I know in the sport says I'm out of my damn mind. But I stand by my guns, man. And so I want to see that because of legacies. But more than that, I want to see it because I think he's going to win. I'm the only way he is. I think he's going to win. So I want to see that one. And then from there, we'll go from there. If Anderson does win, the John Jones fight is the next one, of course. And I don't think Anderson can beat John Jones. Anderson is one of my favorite fighters. He is probably the greatest, in his weight class. I think Jones is the pound-for-pound greatest. But when you look at these two guys, Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre, if you blended their two styles together, you get John Jones. You got the lengthy, long, dynamic striking ability of Anderson Silva, coupled with the amazing wrestling and vicious ground and pound of George St. Pierre. That's John Jones right there. So I think John Jones could beat Anderson as well.
Now, Cain Velasquez, he just reclaimed the heavyweight title by beating Junior Dos Santos. What do you think's next for him? Does he get Daniel Cormier if Cormier wins against Frank Mir? Does he get Frank Mir if Frank Mir beats Daniel Cormier? Does he get the winner of Stefan Struve, Mark Hunt? What's the matchup that you want to see, and what's one that you think makes sense?
The heavyweight division is really tough. With Bigfoot Silva knocking off over, and it kind of spoiled the plan
right.
Much the way when Gonzaga knocked out Krokop. It was like, oh man, you just screwed up everything. And so I would love to see Bigfoot Silva and Dos Santos actually fight for the number one contender, and then get a rematch from that. I don't think Daniel Cormier will fight Frank Mir. I think he's going to move down to light heavyweight after that fight. Excuse me, I don't think Daniel Cormier will fight Cain Velasquez. I think he moves light heavyweight after the fight. I don't think Frank getting one win back, is enough to give him a title shot. But then he's Frank freaking Mir. This guy's been a multiple-time heavyweight champion. So, I mean, if you can justify it like that, I guess you can justify that. I don't think Struve or Hunt deserve a title shot by any means. I think the legitimate only way to do it, you can't really make Antonio Silva versus Cain Velasquez after Cain just, butchered Bigfoot the last time they fought. I think the only justifiable matchup would be is Antonio and JDS fight, and the winner of that has earned the rematch with Cain Velasquez.
How about Verdum? Do you factor him in there at all? I mean, obviously he's...
Yeah, you know what?
Go ahead.
No, good point. Verdum is definitely on the horizon. He's been making his rounds. He's really been working his way up. He's been evolving. His striking really he's coming into his own with his striking, with his anti-wrestling. His jits have always been phenomenal. He's definitely in the mix. I still think, he needs one more big profile win to be able to sell that fight. Because at the end of the day, it's unfortunately, it's not always who deserves a fight. It's what fight can you sell. You look at the George St. Pierre Nick Diaz fight. Nick Diaz doesn't deserve that fight. George can say until he's blue in the face that he does. And David's job is to promote the fight, so he's going to convince you he does.
Right.
But Johnny Hendricks is the only person who deserves that fight. But you can't sell that fight. You can't sell that anywhere near what you can sell for a Diaz St. Pierre fight. And that's why Diaz is fighting St. Pierre. They had a guy, who's an easier sell to do a lot more money and it was less of a threat. Nick Diaz is no one with a threat to George St. Pierre that Johnny Hendricks is. So at the end of the day, it's not who deserves it, it's what fight can you sell. But Verdum is definitely he's in the mix.
You mentioned the George St. Pierre and Nick Diaz fight. Now there was just an announcement that Aldo is going to fight Anthony Pettis. Do you like this road that we're going down where they're just putting matchups that are just intriguing and not so much as a guy earned his way to the title? Is it good for the sport if they're putting these fights together that, they're going to be good, exciting fights, but they really, nobody really worked their way up to get these title shots? Do you like that the way that's happening, or do you think it's going to be a bad thing for the sport?
I like it in some cases. I liked Frankie and Jose. I thought that was fair and justifiable. And I liked Pettis and Jose. You know, Pettis, he didn't earn his way in that weight class, but he definitely earned a title shot. You know, he was supposed to. He was guaranteed when he came over. You know, he could have sat it out. He decided not to. They gave him Guida, and Guida kind of, you know, did what Guida does best. He blanketed him. He smothered him. So, but since then, he's been on a tear. You know, the devastating knockout of Joe Lauzon, the devastating knockout of Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, this guy earned a title shot, and by electing to drop down in the weight class rather than waiting, I think it's awesome. You know, I'm more interested. I'll tell you the truth. I'm more interested to see a Jose Aldo Anthony Pettis fight than I am to see a Jose Aldo Ricardo Ramos fight.
Sure, definitely.
Now, in the Chael John Jones fight, that's a tough one. You know, I get why they did it. You know, first off, is Chael was the one who stepped up.
Right.
Second off, is Chael opposing John Jones, the reality show coach.
Right.
You know, that makes all the sense in the world.
And so, I don't mean to cut you off there, but the Chael Sonnen fight, people wanted to see this one. This is where the fans called for this one because, you know, Chael stepped up on 8 days' notice. John didn't take the fight, and 151 was canceled, and then they gave the title shot to Vitor Belfort at UFC 152. But Chael, it's kind of different because the fans wanted this one. Everyone was like, you know, why are they giving it to Vitor? Let's see Chael in there. So I think it's kind of a little bit different of the Chael John Jones situation than these others. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, you know, I'm a Chael fan, man. I'll tell you what, I'm not always the most excited to watch Chael fight, but I'm always excited to hear him talk.
Yeah,
I love it, man. He's got the personality, the gift of gab. You know, he's sharp, he's smart, he's funny. I'm a Chael fan.
Yeah. I enjoy just hearing him talk like just normal, just about fights, not so much. I mean, I enjoy his trash talk and all that stuff, but I just enjoy him when he's on Fuel or FX or wherever they have the post-fight shows. I just enjoy hearing that guy talk about just the fights in general. Yeah. He knows the game so well. Yeah.
He's very, very sharp. He's very smart, very intelligent, very well spoken. And the thing that's best is, you know, I got to spend a lot of one-on-one time with Chael, hang out with him and see him, just how he acts around everyone and the Chael you see hyping a fight is not real life Chael. A lot of people don't get that. You know, that's not how this guy really is. This guy's he's a gentleman. He's well spoken. He treats him with respect. You know, But when he sells a fight, he goes out there and he sells a fight. He turns it on. And a lot of people mistake that. They think that his real-life persona is the same as his pre-fight persona.
Now, Joey, I'm going to say 4 fighters. I want you to tell me, you know, kind of predict their future for me. The first fighter, Chris Cyborg. Her manager, Tito Ortiz, just said that she's not going to drop to 135. She can't make the weight. She's going to try to explore other options out there. What happens to her?
You know what? Honestly, man, I think she's got to shake Tito Ortiz.
Oh, really?
Tito's was a great fighter. He's a great ambassador for the sport, but he's not a manager. You know, I mean, and you can see a lot of the way he conducts himself with Dana and stuff, you know, in the UFC. I just don't think that, you know, he makes the best business decisions in regards to how to work the scene as a manager. And that's my opinion. You know, I think that she needs to shake him. I think she can make the weight. You know, I just don't think she's that excited to do it. I think she feels like at 45, she can be stronger than Ronda. But at 35, that Ronda would be stronger than her, and so she doesn't want to do it.
Next fighter up, Rampage Jackson. What happens to him?
Rampage Joel or Rampage loves, and that's Asia. I don't see Bellator grabbing him. I could see World Series of Fighting. You know, they got their NBC deal. They're trying to make a push. I could see them trying to pick him up. Being a big commodity, a big name, you know, they kind of want to market the past names. It draws the eyes to their organization. But I think Rampage will find his home back in Asia. He'll get paid what he wants to get paid, you know, whether it's with Dream or ONE FC. He's got a huge following in Asia. He loves it over there. And I think that's a spot for him. I don't think Bellator will grab him just because you got a guy, you know, Bellator's trying to distinguish themselves as an individual brand. And they don't want, you know, not to say this, I don't mean this like this, but I'm just going to say it like this. They don't want a UFC reject, a guy who just, you know, lost last year in the UFC, and the UFC doesn't really want. That's not who they want to develop over there. You know, they want up and coming talent that they can really brand as their own. And so I don't see him going over there. I think Asia's the spot for him.
Mm-hmm. And on the Bellator tip, also with Rampage, do you think that he doesn't really fit into their model just because we don't know how his body's going to hold up if they do throw him into a tournament? Do you see that another reason playing against him going there?
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. He's young age-wise, but old fight-wise.
Right.
He's been fighting for almost 15 years. And that's the length. You look at someone like Randy Couture, and you look at someone like Rampage, Vanderlei, Fedor. Randy started at 34, and he fought to go 40-something, 48, 49, excuse me. He had a 15, 16-year run. And you look at Bernard Hopkins, he did the same thing in boxing. But you look at Vanderlei and Fedor and the Nogueira brothers, they're at the decline of the career. They started when they were 18, and now they're 34, and that's kind of like the wrapping up. You got a 15-year fighting career. It depends on what age you start and how long it'll last. And he's old in fight years. Young in life years, but old in fight years.
Mm-hmm. And now, Josh Barnett, do you see him going down a similar road as Rampage, go back to Asia, do a little bit of pro wrestling, a little bit of MMA here and there?
Interesting with that one. He's someone I could see ending up in Bellator with a King Mo-esque deal. He's done the wrestling / fighting circuit back and forth, and the way Bellator is using King Mo and TNA wrestling and fighting, I could see Josh Barnett doing that as well, and it makes more sense for him and for them to grab him because he rejected the UFC's offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They came to him and he's like, no, I don't want to do this. So that's something that Bellator would be excited about. Whereas, Rampage is lost 3 in a row, but goes out on a win and turns down the big guy. This is someone that they can brand. They can really bring in as their own, saying, he didn't want the UFC because he wanted us.
Sure.
Strengthens their brand and what they're trying to accomplish.
Sure. And now, possibly the hardest guy to predict where his future lies, whether it be UFC, Bellator, wherever, Eddie Alvarez. Where do you think he ends up?
UFC. He's in the sideline. I think he's going to sit out this year and wait it out. I think that the whole way, if Bellator had any chance of getting him, the whole way they've handled this situation, if Bellator's revenue was on Ariel Helwani's show today, and Eddie Alvarez tried to call and get on the air with him at the same time. And Bjorn turned him down. He said, no, we'll talk in private. And then when they brought Eddie back in, he said, yeah, he doesn't want to talk on the air. Why? Is he going to hide? I'm ready to talk on the air. He said they flat out lied in court. When they asked if they had something set up, a pay-per-view deal set up for Eddie Alvarez to save money, they said, yeah, we have a signed deal for him and Chandler. But Chandler later comes out and says, no, they never talked to you about it. There was nothing about this, Eddie said they never talked about it. So I think Eddie's got a bad taste in his mouth from Bjorn and from Bellator, and I think he'd rather wait it out than go back to them.
Mm-hmm. And now, some upcoming fights that are going to be taking place in the coming weeks. This weekend, UFC on Fuel TV 7, Renan Barão defending the interim bantamweight title against Michael McDonald. Are you a fan of interim belts, or do you just think that that's pointless to have them?
You know what? I'm not for or against them. I did want to do it. It makes sense. You got a guy who should be fighting for the champ. You want to keep him busy. You give him an interim belt. It adds a little clout. He does deserve to it. I mean, it makes sense. So I'm not for or against it. I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think is going to come out on top in this one?
Tough fight. Michael McDonald, man, he's a beast. He's got sharp hands, knockout power. He's explosive. He's fast. But you look at his record. Aside from a kind of conveyed, and I don't want to say washed up, but it's part of his career, Miguel Torres. There's not a lot of big, huge names on that record. Whereas Renan Barão, he's beating the who's who of top contenders. I mean, he's really, he devastated Pickett, devastated Uriah Faber, Scotty Jorgensen. These are the best fighters in the world at the weight class. And I just feel like he's fought the better competition. I've never seen Barão hurt. I've never seen him lost. I've never seen him hurt. So I'm not sure if McDonald even has enough pop to hurt him. But above and beyond that, I look at the training camps of both these guys. Michael McDonald's training in no disrespect, but he's training at a Podunk gym with his brothers in Modesto. And his brothers, they might be hungry to become fighters, but Barão's coming out of Nova UL. I can't even say the damn name.
Nova União.
He's coming out of Nova UL, thank you. And I speak Portuguese fairly well, it's still pretty good. Nova UL. He's coming out of one of the Jose Aldo, Marlon Sandro, Eduardo Dante. You know, there's 3 or 4 more guys who are in camp at the same time as him. And so when you go into camp at the same time, your whole team's in there. It's like, you know, it's war. You're ready. You're more than just prepared. So I'm leaning towards Barao right now, but I want to go back to watch some films before I make up my mind.
Now, some well-respected MMA journalists have brought this up this week because this interim title fight's happening. Dominic Cruz, he's been on the shelf now for a very long time. He was supposed to fight last summer against Uriah Faber. He got injured. He had an ACL surgery. The ACL surgery didn't take or something like that, and there were complications with that. And now he's on the sidelines yet again. We're looking at, you know, maybe coming in end of this year, maybe early next year. I don't really know what his timetable is. They say 6 to 9 months, but then you got to factor in a training camp. Now, the question that they brought up, and I'm going to bring it up to you, is should Dominic Cruz vacate the bantamweight title? And the reason why I ask you this is because he's going to be on the shelf for a long time. Do you put him in with, you know, the top of the food chain, the number one guy? If Barao wins, do you put him in, you know, coming off basically a 2-year layoff? You know, should he vacate that belt?
You know what, and Mike, I apologize, I got to make this my last one.
All right,
I'm about to step into a meeting.
Sure.
But it's a tough situation, you know, because, you know, he is the champ. He does deserve the belts. He has worked hard for it. That is why they set up the interim bout. But when you look at it, you know, he's going to come off a 2-year layoff and jump into the cage with a beast who's been active, you know. It's a rough situation. I don't think they're warranted in stripping him of the title. I just, you know, he's earned it. It's not his fault he can't fight. But I think at the same time, you know, he's going to be in some deep water when he comes back, and that's just how it goes. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't give him a 2-0 fight because he is the champ. So, you know, I think he deserves to keep his title. That's why they have the interim title.
Right.
But he's going to have a handful when he's ready to fight.
Right. Well, Joey, I know you got to get going, so thank you for taking the time to talk. I know this was a really long interview. I really appreciate it. So thanks for taking the time.
All the best, brother. My pleasure, and much success